Hello, everybody. It's Pavita with Conversi, and this is our quaranTIME series. Today, I am interviewing a very, very dear friend, Tracy George from New Haven, Connecticut. And as you know, this series is the place that you can come for your daily dose of positivity. We're living in some stressful times right now, and it's more important than ever that we connect with one another, support one another, and share our stories. So this is a safe space where you can come just to share any of your experiences and stories about quarantine and lessons learned and words of wisdom. So Tracy, maybe you could just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to these days and how you've been spending your time.
Yeah, so good to see you. So wonderful to be together in this way, even though it's through a screen. I find it's a little bizarre how used to socializing through a screen I'm getting. It's a little concerning, but it also shows how adaptable we are. But yes, my name's Tracy George, and I'm director of the Student Wellness Center at Yale. So for many years, I've been working with students who are stressed, anxious, depressed, lonely, burnt out. So I've had a lot of good prep for being in a situation like this, I think. I live in a studio, a very bright, beautiful studio in New Haven with my cat, Kitten. And I'm glad that I have her around as another living being in the apartment other than a few plants. But this has been a really wild experience of being with myself, of coming back to myself. A lot of time to sit and feel through meditation, but also connecting with friends more often than usual, getting outside a lot. So that's actually really helped me stay grounded and sane, is going on a walk or going on a hike every day. I know that's not possible everywhere in the world, that some places really are on lockdown and you can't leave your apartment. So I'm really grateful to be able to just go to a park. That's been really, really helpful. I think I'm kind of like settling into this a little bit. At first, there was a lot of fear, a lot of panic. I even called some friends and family members to see if I could live with them. I was like, who knows how long this is going to be? I can't do this alone. So I feel like in the last few weeks, I've really found that I have been able to do this on my own and really dive into what has been sort of an involuntary meditation retreat, I think, for everyone, where everything that we're used to is like stripped away and we're just with ourselves. But it's not without struggles. There was a moment I opened the fridge and yelled into it, "Comfort, are you in there?" Loud, "Comfort, I need you." So there have been some late night snacking struggles. But yeah, I think I've settled into it a little bit.
That's great to hear. You're doing some really amazing work with the students at Yale. And like you said, your professional work has prepared you well for the situation in which we find ourselves today. Have you still had any interaction with the students even while school is closed?
Yeah, I've been really lucky to be able to connect with them still. Through Zoom, I've done a number of sessions I call Tea Time with Tracy. So they're individual support sessions I started doing with students years ago on campus over a cup of tea, and it sort of evolved as this natural thing that just flowed out of me and students that I work with, and it became this mini institution within Yale of just being compassionate, the compassionate listener, offering reflective listening based on some of the skills that I've learned over time, like motivational interviewing and mindful inquiry as a mindfulness teacher and health educator. And so these individual sessions have meant a lot to me and my students. No matter where they are in the world, we can sit down virtually and share a cup of tea, and they just talk about whatever's going on. Often tears flow, so I've called it Tea Time and Tears with Tracy. I'm really into the alliteration.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I do group work, which I call community time. And that is group meditation where I do some guided meditation, some silent period of sitting, and then time for questions and discussion at the end. And that's really beautiful when we have people from like all over the world or all over the country coming together over Zoom to practice meditation together.
That is a beautiful thing. And see, Tracy, this is one of the reasons we get along so well, is because we both love puns. Puns that nobody else finds funny.
Totally.
Or you could call it tea-ers. Oh my God, we're gonna have too much fun with this.
Yeah.
So, before we get caught up in the punniness.
Uh-oh, it's starting.
Okay. So before we get caught up in that Thunderland, so you were mentioning, sorry everybody, see this is very usual with me and Tracy. But laughter really is the best medicine, and I think that it is important to find at least one thing in a day that makes you laugh or that makes you smile, or at least that doesn't cause you stress. So you're welcome to those of you who do appreciate that a little detour that we took. So you mentioned that, you know, you're a little bit concerned about how used to interacting digitally you're getting. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that. You know, what are you finding are some of the big differences between interacting virtually versus interacting in person? What is it that you're concerned about getting used to? And then also, what have you found works well in terms of, you know, maintaining that sense of connection and compassion that is so important to our in-person interactions? What have you found works well in terms of maintaining that same sense of comfort on the screen?
Yeah, good questions, especially as we enter this new world of working virtually for who knows how long, right? Because this could be quite a long time. But even as people start to re-enter the world physically, I think this opens up a lot of possibilities for virtual work that might not have existed before. I know some workplaces are very traditional or kind of tight and haven't let people work, folks work from home before. And so I think this is really great for people who actually need that flexibility, and it could even reduce overhead costs if we don't need to pay for like real estate or other utilities of keeping a big office building running. But just giving people like the flexibility to be in their homes when they want to and come into work when they want to. I think that type of work-life balance is really important. I've definitely learned that I am much more of an introvert than I thought I was. I think by how much less exhausted I feel recently. And I realize it's because I'm not 40 hours a week, like interacting with people in person all the time and like showing up physically. And for so long, I didn't know why I had Sunday scaries. Have you heard of the Sunday scaries?
I don't think so. What is that?
So I just like learned this term last year. It's if you get this regular weekly feeling on Sunday nights of panic and you're not really sure what it is, and it's related to having to go back to a work week, and the feeling of this overwhelm every Sunday night of, oh my God, I have to do 5 more days. Even if you love your job, which I've really loved my work, I couldn't really identify like what about it don't I like? And I think there was so much burnout of just being physically present so much. And so actually having a balance where I can show up over Zoom and be really present with people like this in groups or individually, but then have a ton of time where I'm just with myself to recharge. So this like opening connection, recharging with myself, like this back and forth, I really like. But yeah, it is a little concerning of how used to like this type of interaction can just become normal, because there is something really beautiful about physically being with people, and even like hugging or handshaking, you know, like the oxytocin that's released when we're physically with people. And so I do miss that. I miss like going to a bar or a friend's house or just like being around the energy of people. So I don't want to lose that connection with humanity. And I know it'll come back, but it's a really good opportunity to learn, like, what do I want to bring back into my life and what don't I? That's why I think it's like a meditation retreat. Like when you go, if you've ever been to a meditation retreat where you don't have any electronics, not even like books or journals to write, it's just all with self silently. And so I think what that opportunity does is give you the opportunity, or when you leave the meditation retreat and go home, you start noticing what feels good and what doesn't, all the stuff that you didn't have during the meditation retreat. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think there's a huge learning opportunity for us individually, but also collectively and as companies and organizations and schools of how to re-enter the world.
Yeah. And so for you personally, what have you found that you would like to hold on to from this experience, and what have you found not so much that you'd like to hold on to?
Good question. I don't want to be in like, I think the marketplace of like commerce so much, like not going to stores and not going out and spending money. It kind of feels nice that there's like quite a simplicity to not being around goods, like goods and services so much. I think because as fun as like shopping and going to buy things can be, I often feel very much drawn into the consumerist mindset and like wanting to spend money on things I don't really need. So not being exposed to money spending opportunities has been good for me, I think. I want to keep focusing as much as I have been on exercise and getting outside and hiking. Like I love that I have so much time to do movement that feels good, like dancing around my apartment, doing cool exercise videos. Like I've seen you been doing the Bhangra and like the other cool Zumba things online, which is so fun. And just spending more time in nature. I'm really, really grateful that this has happened at the beginning of spring and not at the beginning of winter. I think the darkness, the cold, especially in the Northeast, would be a lot harder for people. At least like we can go outside here. And yeah, there's just a simplicity of things that I want to keep exploring of what is it about this that feels good to me and what about this like doesn't feel good. And so I keep journaling and keep exploring that.
Yeah. And then you were mentioning earlier that, you've been very lucky to be able to get out and, explore nature. For other people that might not be an option. So for those people, what advice or suggestion would you have for maintaining that sense of grounding and I guess the peace and calm that comes from being in nature for people who might not have access to that?
Yeah, good question. Most simply is like being near a window or opening a window and actually doing kind of a meditation of viewing whatever your surroundings are. Even just like having fresh air come in from outside can be so lovely. But another thing that just came to mind is doing guided visualizations, meditations that you lay down, close your eyes, and you like take yourself to some magic place. There's a lot of great guided versions on YouTube where you can be guided to like a beach scene or a forest or the mountains. And there's some really strong evidence that shows guided visualizations really help the body adjust as if we're in the place that we're imagining, which is really powerful. I know that with cancer patients, there's been some research with visualization of white blood cells like fighting off cancer cells and that like reducing their stress levels in their body. So like our imagination can really affect our physiology quite a bit. So I'm a big fan of meditation practice. Also meditation in groups. So if you can join a guided meditation group where you see a number of people on the screen, that feels like community. And I think that's really important. But really movement. So even if you can't get outside, moving indoors, like there's so many great fitness videos that are so fun, dancing, just moving. Cause I think emotions get stuck in the body, right? Like my anxiety gets stuck here. My anger gets stuck in my arms. Like I'm totally connected to how emotions are in my body, and moving is the best medicine for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for anybody who's looking for sessions on quaranTIME, any topic that you can think of, whether it be dance or guided meditation or yoga or cooking or anything else that's of interest, you can definitely find someone on quaranTIME who can help you with that. So you mentioned that you have Kitten with you. How has she been adapting to this whole situation?
So I heard of some meme that's like dogs of the world are loving this because their owners are around, and cats are like, why are you here all the time? Like, why are you in my space? I think she definitely likes it to some degree. Usually I can't be on a Zoom video without her like crawling in front of the screen. I'm surprised she's sleeping.
I know, I'm disappointed we haven't seen her yet.
I know, she's like sleeping on her tower right now next to the window. But usually like her cat butt enters the screen at some point.
Okay.
It is like really, it's sweet to have like another being around with me.
Well, Kitten, if you're listening, we want you.
Kitten. She's like, leave me alone.
Okay, so you have Kitten with you, you have some plants with you. If you had to choose one human being to be stuck in quarantine with, who would it be?
So the first person who comes to mind is my friend Cormac, who I've been hanging out with a little bit. I've been helping him with his garden in his backyard, and we've been roommates in the past. And he lives in the next town over. And he's real fun to hang out with, and we've gone on some hikes together. So I'll give a shout out to Cormac.
Hey, Cormac. Awesome. And as soon as things go back to quote unquote normal, what's the first thing that you're gonna do?
Hug so many people. I just like the physical embrace, because with the love languages, the love languages. Mm-hmm. Physical touch has always been my top love language, so this has definitely been a challenge in a unique way. I think just like hugging a bunch of my friends, like long awkward hugs that should definitely end after a few seconds. Also, like the first bar I go into, I totally want to buy like a bunch of people I don't know a round of drinks.
Hey, that's awesome. I will be at that bar. Okay. What's your favorite bar in New Haven?
Ooh, I really love Ordinary on on Chapel Street. Their cocktails are amazing. And the last time I went there, actually, there was like a bento box style cocktail where they gave you all the ingredients and you got to like put it together on your own and try different combinations, which was really fun.
Very cool. Awesome. And then what would you say is maybe the funniest or craziest or strangest thing that you've done during your time in quarantine?
Other than yelling into the fridge, comfort, where are you? I tend to dance around my apartment a lot without closing the blinds. So I think my neighbors definitely have gotten some like dancing shows when I'm just like flailing about.
You're welcome, neighbors of New Haven.
Oh yeah, they really love it in New Haven on Orange Street. So yeah, that's I don't know what else has happened. Time is just like going by so quickly.
It is going by so quickly. Yeah, so that's all awesome. Any words of positivity or encouragement or just words of wisdom that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, certainly. I would say that this is such a precious, valuable time, as challenging and struggle oriented as it is. That there's something here for us to listen to learn about ourselves, and that can't be rushed. It doesn't need to be rushed. So if there isn't anything that's coming to light in your life, like I should be learning about myself, like no shoulds. Don't should on yourself. Just wait for it to come because it will. And otherwise, enjoy the simplicity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy, for all of that valuable advice and for sharing your experience. If any of you would like to be featured in our series, please contact us. All of your stories, all of your experiences have value. This is a safe space for everybody to come and share their experiences and get their daily dose of positivity. So thank you so much. Enjoy your day and enjoy your quaranTIME.